Hey everyone, welcome to a completely unnecessary podcast for Wednesday, January 28th, 2015, alongside looking dapper tonight, Ian Ferguson.
I'm just hiding all of my fat stuff, the hoodie.
I'm Pat Contry, and lots of topics tonight. We're talking about refunds from PS2,
Sony.
PS4, Sony. That's what it is.
It's just Sony.
Just
Steam.
Sony.
It's a computer game.
They're not refunding PS2 from 10 years ago.
No.
World of Warcraft gift to 10-year subscribers. Nintendo doing away with Club Nintendo rewards.
Whoa, is me.
Nintendo ad revenue sharing program for YouTube. Joystick shutting down and defy media layoffs of game trailers and escapists. What does it mean for the games journalism industry? We're talking about EA being a little sleazy with a freemium game. We'll also be talking about the Ghostbusters movie reboot has been cast. We'll be talking about a little bit about the Secret Wars Marvel event coming up. We'll be talking about maybe an X-Files limited series, the Fantastic Four teaser that we've been waiting for forever, the Royal Rumble, and your Q&A. Ian, how's it going in Ian land? In Fergusonville.
Fergland?
Fergland.
Fergland's been okay. I actually got 2 days off this week. Vonnie's schedule has changed, so we now eat breakfast together and stuff like
That's
real
great.
people. Yeah, like we actually get to hang out and see each other.
You get the cantaloupe and you get the or you get the grapefruit and you have it ready to go. Like part of this complete breakfast, you'll have a muffin sitting there.
No, we usually just go to like the local Cuban bakery and have stuff there. But that's been fun. I recently dove into the world of modular synthesis, which is an expensive and incredibly nerdy hobby.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
I know you produce a lot of music, that you have a lot of tracks.
Yeah, producing music has nothing to do with it. It's whether or not it calms me down, which it does. I stayed up from about 9 until 4 in the morning the other night just testing out different patch chords.
And that calmed you?
Yeah, it calmed me down incredibly.
Did you get to sleep at 4 a.m. after that?
Yeah, about 5, yeah. But the thing was is I went to bed and instantly went to bed. Calm, cool, collected, instead of just staring at the fucking ceiling for another 2 goddamn hours, dumbass. You're just a piece of wiener.
Well, I don't appreciate that.
You're a piece of wiener.
Why don't you? What did Steve Austin tweeted? He doesn't count sheep. He rebooks territories to fall asleep. You used to do that. You just rebook the territory. That's what you should do.
Honest to goodness story. It's happened my whole life. When I go to count sheep, the sheep don't behave. So like, you go 1, 2, no, like 2 or 3 will try to sneak over with the 1, and within about 3 minutes, it's just the worst thing I've ever tried to do.
You can't even fantasize counting sheep properly?
In order. No, because they all bum rush the fucking fence, and I can't keep track of them.
If that's not a microcosm for your mind, I guess what would be?
Oh God, it's awful.
I used to actually...
I can't do it.
My dream, if people know, my dream is to see a U.S. Golgo 13 movie. And so I used to, especially like in high school and in college, I would visualize me walking into the theater and having it like play, like the movie, like what the intro would be, and like the whole experience, the lights going. I was like, oh my god, the movie's starting. It just like it would like somehow that lulled me into that was my calm, I guess. Like that was my dream. Like, oh, here it is, and that's the feeling I'll get if they ever make the movie. Someone has the movie rights for the past 4 years, doing nothing with them.
So I think what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do a combination, because I like Steve Austin's idea of rebooking the territory. Okay, I can't do that. What I'm going to start doing is soundtracking old pay-per-views with modular synthesis, and it's just going to be really long, like 3-hour drone pieces, but I'm going to soundtrack the entire pay-per-view.
Okay.
That'll be fun.
Like Royal Rumble 91 or something?
Yeah, that could be kind of fun. It's a real slow movement.
So we have something cool for you guys. If you like the merchandise.
If you like the merchandise.
We're partnering with Teespring to have a CU podcast, completely unnecessary t-shirts that are available for a limited time. If you click on a link that I'll put somewhere there, you can click on it and pre-order one, and it's our logo that we use. And no obligation. It looks cool. Ian looks nice on there. I think I'll look acceptable.
And for a small fee, you can now hire me to clean your kitchen in any outfit of your choosing, as long as it does not show skin. So that's like a $25 service.
So a hazmat suit. You have to clean in.
I mean, you're allowed to see my face and my hands.
I would prefer not to, but they could.
Maybe my arms.
Is this a good way to sell the T-shirt?
No, we're just talking about more merchandise.
Oh, okay.
So
merchandising.
Yeah, so you can just hire me as a kitchen cleaning.
That's a service, though, more than a merchandise.
Right.
But that could be part of the Patreon. Ian cleans your house. I guess we can put something that high up.
Ian cleans your house in cosplay of your choosing.
Please put that up for like $800 a month, and maybe
that's
someone will
fine.
do it. I think that'd be worth it.
I would actually show more skin if it was female cosplay. Anyway,
so yeah, we have T-shirts. That'll sell them too. So, so what's going on with these Sony issuing all these refunds?
well, so H1Z1, which is Sony's never too late, definitely very ahead of the curve zombie game that they have released, is a game that you pay for. You pay for this game. You buy it like you would a normal game.
It's a download title, or is it also?
It's on Steam.
It's on Steam.
And they said coming, in the leading up to the game that there wasn't going to be any microtransactions or stuff like that.
Clearly stated that.
Clearly announced that there would be no microtransactions.
No more money spent in this game once you buy it.
Yeah. And
Good old days.
turns out that was totally false, and you can pay real money to get supply drops in game.
So are the supply drops otherwise random?
That I'm not sure of, but basically this definitely, they swore it wasn't going to be pay to win, and in a zombie survival game of this type, which I'm assuming is like many of the other ones on the PC,
like DayZ
and Rust and stuff like that, your supplies are what you live and die by. So this is going to be a big help. So, they were, of course, flooded with complaints, and the guys were like, whoa, we're sorry, we upset you. So they were allowing refunds. Now, you had to do the refund through Sony, and that would get you your cash back. If you did it through Steam, it would only go back to the Steam store.
It would hurt if you did it through Steam, I would think.
I don't know. I mean, if you did it through Steam, basically you get credit back. If you do it through Sony...
Yeah, Steam's hot.
And if you do... It's very good, Pat. If you do it through, Sony, you get cash back. So anyways, my problem with this is that's not really enough. My bigger issue is that they fucking flat out lied in their lead up. So that's my number one issue. Is they flat out lied in their lead up. What they need to do is do away with the supply drops, patch the game so that you can find these supplies in a way that doesn't require you to get real money, or randomize supply drops like you had mentioned. But my other big problem is that the refund window is very limited, and people tend to go on previews when they buy games. So if someone's excited for H1Z1 and they didn't read about this, and I can't necessarily blame them. I mean, you can't read every piece of gaming news, but just say they read all these previews and they're like, okay, no additional charges, I can buy it now, it looks pretty good. If it's outside of that window, they're boned. They can't get that refund. So it's still deceptive because it's a limited time refund.
So where was the disconnect between the announcement from the developers game saying, the quote is that we are not interested in selling weapons. Weapons are only acquired by crafting or exploring and finding one. We are not selling power, which of course they reversed on that. So where was the disconnect? Like what? How could something like this happen? Like this is just this isn't even incompetence. This is just flat out fraud for your product.
From what I've heard, it's probably not the programmer's fault. It's probably. I mean, you have to understand.
No, it's not the programmers. Right. It's just taking orders, but it's the developer.
Right. The developer and the programmers probably put this game together the way that they said it, and Sony probably saw money bags and said, "No, we've got to. Everything's got a microtransaction. We've got to put a microtransaction in."
But the Sony president said that they won't be doing that though. So what?
So the Sony. So the
President John Smedley stated, "We will not be selling guns, ammo, food, war." That's kind of the whole game, and it would suck, in our opinion, if we did that.
Okay, so then they did. I mean, being a Sony game, I guess it would go up to that's probably U.S. president.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
SOE.
SOE.
Sony Online Entertainment.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure where the disconnect came in. I mean, other than to just royally fuck your consumers, which is awful.
How much does this game cost?
I have no idea.
I'm guessing that they maybe thought it was okay if it's only a $5 or $10 game, we can do this.
Yeah, and I mean, it didn't say there, but and of course,
it's cost H1Z1.
It's I catch up on this stuff at work before coming in, but if it's a $5 or $10 game, I still don't think that that's okay. Although that's maybe where they justified it. But if it's a $30 game,
Steam Early Access $20, the second SKU will cost $40.
No, that's absolutely not acceptable.
Well, that's what I'm seeing here from.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, for pre-release 20 plus those transactions, and then $40 for the full game plus those transactions. I mean, we're not talking about something stupid like a costume in Street Fighter. We're talking about paying to win the game that you just spent $40 on.
Yeah, obviously, we talked about these stuff in the past. DayZ, these don't appeal to me at all. These open world zombie games, I don't care. I just don't. But why would you even get into a game where you'd have to resort to paying money in order to actually play competently? Any game for that matter, but I know that's the whole thing about freemium games, which we'll get into later with EA. But it's just that's the new way of going about it.
Yeah, but lying about it is
lying
is not
one step over.
Right.
Yes, that's but at least they're trying to make it right at least a little bit. But
I mean, they're offering the refund, but I still look at that as too little, too late. It's just the damage has already been done there. You look at something though like World of Warcraft, which hits its 10-year anniversary today.
Isn't that kind of wow? It's not kind of flew by already.
Yeah, that has flown by. As a matter of fact, I thought that game had been around a lot longer than it had been. When I read that it was 2004, I was literally putting it at like 2000. No later than 2000.
Well, remember the original Warcraft was about 94. Warcraft 2 was about 95.
Warcraft 3 was a debacle, and then
that was what, like 2011. Warcraft 3, 2010. Something like that.
Oh no, that was
that way before that?
That was way before that, yeah.
Okay, in the past 7 years about. But yeah, the reason why Blizzard's huge is World of Warcraft.
So
it's subscription based.
It's subscription based, which eliminates free to play and microtransactions, which plague all of the free to play online RPGs. And as much as I've never played World of Warcraft and have no interest, I admire the fact that they've stuck to their guns. And it's like, okay, you're paying the subscription, but you get the game. Here's the game. You gotta go buy your expansions, but you don't have to worry about it. Everyone's on the same page. You work for what you're gonna get. Anyways, something that they're doing that's pretty cool is they are giving away a very, very nice looking, actually, and I'm not particularly into nice. I'm not even particularly into fantasy art, but they're giving away a bronze statue to their 10-year players, the people. So if you made your initial World of Warcraft account within 60 days of the
November
game,
23rd, 2004, in North America, and February 11th, 2005 in Europe.
So if you made it within 60 days of the game starting, and you're still an active player and paying your monthly subscription fee, you get this really nice trophy. And what the trophy is it's a copy of the trophy, or not the trophy, of the sculpture that is in Blizzard's Plaza, where people meet. They say they meet there for lunch and stuff. And what's kind of cool about it is they talk about how it's an integral part of the business. It's an integral meeting place. It's part of their daily lives. They see it every day, and as such, it's not hard to see why they might pick that. I mean, the customers are part of their daily lives. These people who have been playing for 10 years are the people who have kept them, afloat and in business, and given them the ideas and the urge to go on and make more expansions in other games. So I think it's a very nice way to say thank you to your players. Yeah. I mean, it by no means looks like a cheap statue.
No, it's an orc riding a wolf. The wolf riders go all the way back to the original Warcraft strategy game, which I had. I remember buying 1 and 2. But it was like buy 2, get the first one free at Computer City. I remember it's like, I'll do that, and I played through 1 before even opening 2. I was like, I'm gonna play through the first one. The first one's a lot easier than the second one. The second game's hard.
The second one's nearly impossible. That was the last real-time strategy.
I beat the second one, but the expansions are impossible. Anyway, no, this is great for a company to do this. But obviously, they have so much freaking money that they could easily do this, even if it was only if it's 10,000, 20,000 people, 30,000 people, it's costing them obviously money to ship these out. These don't look cheap, but like I said, they have so much money that they can do.
Yeah, but that's how you build goodwill.
Yeah.
I mean, you send them a thank you gift, but you're not just sending them a thank you gift. You're sending them a really nice thank you
this
gift.
if this costs them $100 each, they'll make that back on that customer within a year, and they'll be a customer for the next 20 years.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's,
So
it's a small investment.
there's nothing really for them to lose on this.
And when you think about these massive multi online RPGs, and World of Warcraft, I don't think it was the first, but it was obviously the first big one.
No, Ultima Online predates it, and plenty of other things predate that.
But this is the one that, when you think of it, this is it.
This is the one that kind of, I mean,
I'd say 90% of these within a few years are gone. You only have like 3 or 4 big ones that are still around for 10 years.
this is one of the first games that I remember hitting like wide mainstream appeal. Like, I'd be at frat parties just because that's where my buddies were going, and dudes would walk up to me because I'd be wearing a video game t-shirt and be like, yo, you play World of Warcraft? And, they're fucking, Fred Durst baseball cap backwards and all this shit. And it's like, no, but you do? I mean, that's kind of cool, actually, that, like, it has this appeal.
South Park did an episode on it that was extremely funny,
Yep.
and they got Blizzard to help them. That was probably way back in like 2007.
That was a while back.
That was a while ago.
So.
Real while. So, good on you, Blizzard. I think you're a decent company. Yeah, why not?
I've got no beef with them. I just don't really play their games. But yeah, on the opposite end of the spectrum, we got a company doing away with certain rewards here, and that company is not. I mean, I love their consoles, but the company hasn't been doing a whole lot to earn me some goodwill with them. I'm going to try to keep it quick because we've talked a lot about Nintendo, but Nintendo is doing away with the Club Nintendo rewards program. Now, I honestly wish I could say that this was surprising. I actually kind of called it about a year ago because the rewards, like, bucket area, like where you could cash in like your coins and stuff, had just slowly dwindled down to nothing. Like a couple things of stationery, maybe a couple of game cases.
Nintendo's greeting cards, really?
Nintendo's greeting cards, yeah.
What?
And then like a whole bunch of like everything being out of stock. Not to mention, and I am going to preface this, I never gave Nintendo shit for the reward gifts they gave us. Why? Because no other company did it.
Yeah, it was free.
Yes, I know that Nintendo did better in other companies. Their home in other countries. Their home countries where they have more support, where the shipping probably isn't as big of a deal, where they feel like they can spend the money. But it was nice to get something free from them, and I never try to look a gift horse in the mouth. But watching the quality of these things decline down to the point where it was a digital download or a poster set, I just kind of had the feeling that this wasn't going to last much longer. They hadn't replaced their top tier prize, which was the ball game and watch, with anything else top tier, and it just seemed like it was slowly fading out. Nintendo said that the coins there's a few months left on the coins. The coins have some time left before they expire.
You can use them until looks like the end of June.
Okay.
After that, they're gone.
I thought it was end of April.
Elite status members have until May 1st to pick up an Elite status gift. But yeah, you have until June 30th, and they're all gone. And as of January 20th, you cannot register any more product on the website.
So
released after the 20th.
Apparently Nintendo is going to be loading up the online store with goodies for people to spend their coins on. We'll see what happens. It is sad because Nintendo was the only company that did something like this. And when you think of one of the major video game companies, if you had to guess which company was going to do a program like this, it definitely would be Nintendo. They are replacing it with something. I believe it's the loyalty program, and I don't really have any ideas as to what that is yet, and I don't think anyone does.
Yeah, they have not explained it yet, what the new service will be.
Some people are hoping that it's a cross-buy, cross-play sort of feature for 3DS and Wii U. I have no real idea what it's going to be, but I don't know. I feel like that the people who are making the most noise about this service being gone are the people who make the most noise about their prizes sucking every year. And it's something that's really starting to... Nintendo's driving me nuts, but a lot of Nintendo fans are starting to drive me nuts too. Like,
about the rewards?
About rewards and about certain other things. Like,
I think I had the Mario hat. I think it's the only thing I think someone just gave that to me at a convention.
Right.
That's the only Nintendo rewards things I think I even own.
Yeah.
I think I have a puzzle I got like a few years back. That's the only thing I've ever redeemed.
Right.
Because I was always like either gold. I never was elite status ever, so I never can get like the good stuff. Anyway.
So, and you know, like I said, in the end, I kind of came to understand the outrage over not outrage. I don't understand outrage over it. I understand people being upset about like the smaller of the new 3DS systems not being available, but still, I just feel like it's just complaining. Like, had they never made one of those, you would all be buying the XL and not complaining about it.
Going back to the rewards, I mean, I can see it's probably just a hassle for Nintendo to deal with this, to have a whole product department just to deal with this.
In multiple territories.
Yeah, and so it's not cheap for them to do this. Besides the rewards, besides the fact that it costs them obviously money to produce that, I think all the Game & Watches, besides that money, they're probably like, you know what? We're going to piss off some people from a business standpoint, but for the cost we're going to end up saving, it's like, who cares? That's how businesses work. They're like, who cares? It's sucky, but that's what it comes down to.
Well, and there's still going to be something in its place. Who knows? It'll probably be stupid.
It'll probably be game downloads because they don't have to spend any money on that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's kind of where it was going anyways, was they were just shuffling up the game downloads every month anyways. Yeah. But yeah, it's sad, but I'm sorry, that was what I was going to say. People always complain about Japan getting the better rewards. It's like, because it probably costs them less to operate out of their own country than to deal with the stuff over in the U.S. and in Europe. And I don't know, whatever. I just can't bring myself to get too upset about it.
So, speaking of Nintendo and I guess loyalty or goodwill, Nintendo announced something that we brought up last time on the podcast about how they should be moving in this direction on YouTube, because Microsoft officially laid down rules for using their footage on Let's Plays. So in the past, it was that you had to be pretty much in with Nintendo in order to be able to use their footage, and then if something was claimed, you get part of that revenue. But now Nintendo looks like it's opening up to everyone with the Nintendo Creators Program on YouTube. So what it is you basically link your Google account, which is your YouTube account at this point, and your PayPal, and you'll get a portion of the ad revenue on videos that Nintendo claims. Now, it's for specific games. So this is good news, because we had a lot of comments from people that honestly know nothing about understanding what copyright law is, or how it works.
Holy shit!
They think that
it's interactive.
You think if you buy a game that you own it and can do whatever you want with it. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
It's not how it works. You don't, when you buy a movie, you don't own it. You own the license to watch that movie.
That's why you get those old FBI copyright protection warnings in the beginning of movies. You don't actually own this.
You don't have to reproduce it to be put in prison. You can just even do something like take a portion of it and use it in another way.
Look at it this way: you're basically buying the right to do it. You're basically buying the right to watch and play the game yourself, and then they are including the material itself. You're not. Yes, you own that.
When I buy this game, this 25-year-old game, it's still, when I buy this, I do not own the intellectual property on this.
Right.
I own the physical item. I have purchased the license to play the game contained therein.
But Pat,
what Ian?
But Pat, when you do a Let's Play, it's interactive. I'm interacting with it, so I'm changing it and making it my own. Surely that means that it's legal, right?
It has nothing to do with copyright law. There's nothing about interactivity anywhere in copyright law.
Really?
No.
Well,
so anyway,
some
that
people
said,
need to know that.
But that's what it comes down to. I'm sorry, that's the law. So you can agree with it or not, but that's how it works. So Nintendo is going to have this program that I'm glad they're doing this, because otherwise you're out of luck on YouTube. That's the way it works. Nintendo owns what's going on.
The only issue is they haven't really given out a whole lot of details.
No, they have. There's rules out here for it. They're going to be sharing. You can sign up for basically you can do it for the entire channel. So say if you want a Nintendo themed channel and you know that every single video that's going to be on there is going to be for a Nintendo product, you will get 70% of the ad revenue, a 70-30 split, which is in line with a lot of the YouTube sort of networks.
That's very common, actually.
It's a pretty good. But if it's for individual videos, like for me, for example, like I said about like my Super Mario Brothers 2 music in like Flea Market Madness Volume 1, it'll be a 60-40 split. Not as good, but at least you're getting something back from it. So there's more details, but at least it's a first step for Nintendo getting over their draconian sort of ways of saying, well, We're just going to claim it. I was like, seriously, Nintendo, for all the bad will you're now having with YouTubers and people online, you're trying to take all this ad revenue. And the list of games is interesting because it's not every single Nintendo game. It's a specific list of games that are quote unquote supported. These ones that you can do the ad sharing with.
Huh.
So it's like for the Wii U, you have like New Super Luigi. I'm not going to go through all of them, but basically like the marquee titles: Mario Kart 8,
Smash,
3D World. Smash is not even on here yet, which makes me think that either right now they're letting it go or they're taking it all. I don't know, since I don't upload new game footage for these games. So maybe I'm hoping it's not a sort of thing where after a certain amount of time then they can make you claim money, or maybe they're going to let you do it first and then take a portion. I don't know, but the list does not have Smash Brothers on it here yet. But Wii Fit U's on there, Nintendo Land is on there, which is strange because I don't know how many people are doing gameplay footage of that.
My guess here is that it's got to be older stuff, and they probably are taking the full revenue for the newer stuff until it reaches a certain age. Because you haven't announced anything super new yet.
I'm sure someone that'll comment on what's going on with it, because I don't know. I should talk to Jared, because Jared, then again, Jared's in with Nintendo, Pro Jared, so he probably has it worked out already. So then there's 3DS games like Ocarina of Time 3D. So that's
a launch title.
Mario Kart 7. That's old.
Yeah, so they're letting you monetize shit that no one's gonna fucking watch anymore anyway.
Maybe
I'm not actually all that happy with this.
You can monetize 3DS classics, Urban Champion, Excitebike, and Kid Icarus. Rusty's Real Deal Baseball.
I can do that. I love Rusty's Real Deal Baseball.
You can finally monetize Wii Party and Wii Sports. That's good news, right? Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2. Well, these are the more popular titles, like the Zelda titles on the Wii.
Yeah, but they're old. It's not stuff people are actively searching
All right,
for.
how about on the DS? You can finally monetize Nintendo's Dachshund and Friends, Chihuahua and Friends, Labrador and Friends, and Dalmatian and Friends. That's good news. And Mario Kart 64 DS. Then on the you can finally download. You can finally monetize Wario World on the GameCube. So that's good.
Yeah, no.
I didn't know that Nintendo was going after GameCube games from 13 years ago. I had no idea they were doing that.
Yeah, the more you read this list,
it's getting worse.
The more you read this list, the more this is a bucket of fucking horseshit.
But you can finally... You can monetize Sin and Punishment on the N64. Like really? That was like... Why would they care about that?
It wasn't even their game. Well, they published it.
But it's not. There's a list of like 7 N64 games that I guess they before they couldn't, like Mario Kart 64, Super Mario 64, F-Zero X, Excitebike 64, Mario Party, Yoshi's Story.
I think this is more
Game Boy Advance games, Game Boy games, Super Nintendo games. Basically, they're marquee first-party titles within the first couple of years, like F-Zero, Mario Kart All Stars, Zelda: Link to the Past, Star Fox. Super Punch-Out. And then on the NES, last but not least, I'm not going to go through the Japanese one. On the NES, there was about, I'd say, 25 titles. Some you would guess that, okay, the Super Mario Brothers games, the Zelda games.
Can I monetize Clu Land?
No.
Fuck.
But you can monetize Versus Excitebike. I'm not sure how many people owned it or just they're just emulating Versus Excitebike. It's very strange. Tennis...
it's not strange, dude. It's shitty.
Mock Rider, it just doesn't make any sense. Wario Woods, like it's like, how many Wario Woods videos are out there on the net?
No,
anyway,
that's awful. I mean, flat out, that's awful. That's Nintendo saying, "Here, we'll throw you a few coins in your fucking hat for if you cover one of our old ass games." But if you want to,
we turned on this rather quickly.
Yeah, but if you have thousands or a million subscribers and you want to talk about Smash Brothers. Eat penis, because we're gonna take all of that ad revenue for at least the next 6 months
if they go after it.
I mean, it could be the other way, but no, just the game titles you're saying to me, and hey,
the way it works,
someone's gonna call me a fucking shitbag faggot in the comments section, but I mean, the way this is reading to me is that you can only make money off of these games. Everything else, they will take it.
They'll have the right to take everything else wholesale.
Right.
This is how it works when Content ID comes up. You have a list of things that match. And then you then select, you can then have the option, I guess, to go through it and say, okay, this is nothing. You can then pick out what you want to basically take or want gone from YouTube or take ad review. So it's usually manual. I'm guessing they've hired people to go through them all and pick it out. So by and large, though, I don't think this is going to affect the small person. But if they see something getting hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views, maybe they'll want to.
All right.
Anyway, yeah, Nintendo. So, this is a little disconcerting, just because we get a lot of the links on the CU podcast from joystick.com. It's a reputable, games journalism site. It's been around for a long time. And
Game journalism.
Games?
It's not games.
They do one game? They do more than one game. Anyway, so game journalism site, and they announced they're closing up shop, or it seems like they are. Along with that, in the industry in the past couple weeks, it was announced that Defy Media, who owns GameTrailers.com and The Escapist magazine site, they're laying off tons of people. And I think Game Trailers already laid off people previously, I think last year. So they're in trouble too. Most notably Game Trailers. Game Trailers, if you looked at their website traffic in the past 5-6 years, it's plummeted. Really plummeted.
Well, sure, there's separate... It's not the collect-all that it used to be.
Sure, because when it started, YouTube wasn't huge.
Right.
And so when you wanted to see a game trailer, you went to GameTrailers.com. There wasn't a lot of outlets to do that. You went to IGN or 1UP when it was around, or GameSpy. Like you go to those sites. But now, all these software companies have their own YouTube channels. They give it out to all these other IGN, which have their own giant YouTube channels. You don't need a dedicated website for game shows anymore.
No, and I hate to say it, but all game journalism is regurgitating PR letters and putting spin on that stuff, reviews. This is all stuff you can get elsewhere, and it's sad to me that Joystick is gone. Not because I read Joystick, but because it's one less known gaming website out there that I have the chance to read. I don't read any game websites right now. Mm-hmm. Zero. You know why? Because I don't like any of them. They all suck. But that doesn't mean that there can't be a good one. And the more that there are out there, the more competition there is, and
yes,
the more chances there are for a good one to emerge. And I haven't found one. So I mean, my gaming, my new video game news comes through Twitter and word of mouth, and the occasional link someone will link me to another, a web page. But I don't wake up in the morning and go, okay, I'm going to Kotaku or Destructoid or this or that, because it's not news. It's just PR with a little blurb attached.
Or it's clickbait. I always get on.
The clickbait is awful.
I told you well, for various reasons, I don't visit Kotaku anymore. To me, it's just giant clickbait. And I was tired of looking at it.
Polygon is probably... a lot of times I feel like Polygon's the worst.
But Joystick, at least to me, seemed more reputable to me. It seemed like they kept at least on paper, kept their noses cleaner for the most part. And it's just a shame that they'll be gone. AOL's, who owns them, the parent company, in a larger content cleanup from numerous sources. They're doing a house cleaning of quote-unquote underperforming content properties, and it's taking place over the next few weeks. So they're not even giving them a lot of heads up. Next few weeks, you're going to be gone. So it was founded in 2004 as an extension of Engadget, which I did not know.
Yeah.
And part of Weblogs, which AOL bought in 2005. So yeah, it's not even the fact that maybe they were still making money, but not enough to make it worth AOL's time. Which, unfortunately, that can happen too. You don't have to be losing money to be shuttered.
But you can just not be making enough.
Not making enough, which is a shame.
Although I would be willing to bet that lower totem pole video game websites, and that's not to sound insulting to Joystick, but when you do talk to people who talk about video game websites, they do tend to talk about Kotaku, Polygon, and Destructoid. Joystick does not come up.
Or IGN.
Joystick does not come up a lot, and it wouldn't surprise me if they were losing money.
So Joystick, it's a shame. Like I said, I follow you on Twitter. I get a lot of news from you. So in terms of, I don't have much to comment on about Escapist. I know it was probably a much bigger website years back when they first had Jim Sterling, and they had Zero Punctuation, who they still have. But I think that model is just going away. It's all going towards YouTube, and that's why Game Trails in particular is going bye-bye, probably because you don't need them anymore. YouTube is where you get...
it makes me so fucking barf sick. I don't want to watch my news. Am I one of the only people left who wants to read his fucking news?
Well, you can read them on sites, but even now, like if you go on IGN, they'll have like...
Oh, I know. No,
they'll have the article and then a video version of it.
Yeah, it's not like this is going to...
Even CNN does that.
It's not like this is... Well, that's why I don't go to CNN.
CNN's terrible, too.
Yeah, Fox does it, bbc.co.uk does it. Every website that I go to for news of any sort fucking jams a fucking video down my goddamn throat, and I don't want to watch it. I don't want to look at your fucking ugly face and your stupid talking head. Just let me read the story in my own fucking voice and take it at my own pace.
Well, it's also the ad revenue. But I know what you're saying. You click on an article on CNN and you start scrolling down. All of a sudden, you hear an advertisement play. Like, what the hell? I didn't click on a video.
Right.
They preload them when you click on the article.
I don't care, Miss Blonde Hair and Mr. Big Chin. I just want to read my fucking news.
And a lot of time, they just repeat word for word, like, what's there, or most of it.
Yes, but it's horrifying, too, because they're talking about the most horrifying things, and they've got this fucking smile plastered on their face. Oh, my God, it's so gross.
So, it's the end of an era, I guess you could say. Or the beginning of an end.
End of an era.
Well, Game Trailers is how I got known for doing my videos. They used to have a very robust... I want to reach over this table. A very robust user submission section. And which they took a big hit on their site when they got rid of it for no good reason like 3 years ago. Or 4 years ago. Anyway, so I had stuff put on the front page of Game Trailers. My bearded chiller Pat face was on the front page of there. Me and Rue doing the Video Game History Museum at E3 was on the front page. And the first Flea Art Madness, when I posted on there, got 50,000 hits in a day back in like 2009. It was nuts. I was like, wow, people want to see an asshole go to a flea market. I guess that was the first time people really saw that on the net. So I have a connection to Game Trailers. I was actually at one point involved in a contest which didn't get off the ground. It was me, a guy named Peanut Butter Gamer. You may not know, but he has 1 million plus followers on YouTube now. Mm-hmm. We were going to be in a contest for the next big feature on Game Trailers. And back in like 2010, that was a big deal to be a feature on Game Trailers. AVGN was on there. Screw Attack had a lot of stuff on there. Mega 64 used to be a feature on Game Trailers. So that was like the MTV of like video games at one point, Game Trailers, and now it's sort of lost its heat and popularity.
So did you say Great Game Trailers took a pretty big hit when they got rid of their user submission?
Oh yeah, because that was a lot of
yeah. You know what else is going to take a big hit?
Who's going to take a hit?
Your wallet if you decide to play Need for Speed No Limits.
Your segues, Ian. I'm so proud of you, Ian.
Yeah. Woo. So this is. This is so fucking awful and dastardly. It's beautiful.
It's beyond that point where you actually get disgusted, where you admire it.
Yeah,
you admire the sleeves.
I admire the fucking balls. I admire the cojones. I admire the huevos. EA made Need for Speed No Limits, and it's for your phone. And
mobile game.
It's a mobile game. It's a racing game. Okay?
iPad.
And, you race around and stuff. But it has an interesting microtransaction in it.
So this is what we call a freemium game. Because it's free to download, but you might have to pay in-game.
You can just download this fucking game till your heart's content. Download it 5 times on all your devices. But you'll have to buy the gas to power your car if you want to race. And it's just so bad because like every game has this sort of thing in it, right? And it doesn't even show you the gas meter in terms of like empty or full. It's like your gas meter is 1 minute 25 seconds.
Well, from what I understand, it's like you require a certain amount of gas for each race.
Yes.
So you can wait for the gas to go back
like
up.
Any free to play game, you can either wait a number of hours or days for your tank to fill back up. I'm sure you can pay real money to get a bigger tank to so it fills up more. But if you don't feel like waiting, I'll just drive on down to the gas station with your no gas and buy more gas for your fucking gas guzzling Need for Speed No Limits vehicle.
I should have downloaded it just to see what the cost was. I'm sure it's not a huge amount of money. I'm sure it's like $1 for 100 gallons, but still, if that's what you need to play the game, it's absolute bullshit. Yeah. If that's what you need to play. It's not enjoyable. It's not free to play if you download a racing game and say you do 3 races and now you can't race anymore. Well, now you're done.
It's like
imagine if Mario Kart did that.
It might not have been an Ace Combat game, but I want to say it was, or at the very least, a number of airplane like dogfight simulators have done this, where the game is free to play, but you have to buy your ammo and your missiles. It's like, it's like...
What? No pilot has to do that. That's a taxpayer.
Right. Here's your free-to-play racing game. Buy your tires and buy your gas. Otherwise you're not getting out of your garage.
I'm trying to find an image that shows the gas consumption, like how it actually looks.
I don't know. I mean, really, that's all you need to say about this game, and we can move on to the next topic.
You think EA already topped their, they're always finding new ways to get you agitated or to make you proud for if you're a businessman or entrepreneur to do something like this.
Oh yeah. I mean, Christ. I do. I kind of want to applaud them. Be like, oh my God, we made a racing game. Let's charge for gas. Congratulations, you fucking dickwads. I hate you.
Oh, there is a gas meter. It's just like a little. Yeah, it's a little meter. That's nice.
Yeah.
Nice them to do that. I just wonder how quickly it fills up.
Here is your real cash being disposed of.
They would be the total asshole geniuses or total asshole or brilliant either way if you had to have your app on in order to, you know what I mean? It's not like if the next day you come back and it's full. If you actually had to be inside the app and have it refill.
No game does that. I mean, that would be
that'd be hysterical.
That'd be truly asshole.
Oh, EA, we love you. God.
Yeah. Or if you had to hold down a fake button to pump the gas.
Or if you had to, like, if it was New Jersey, you had to wait until someone comes over when it's 30 degrees to roll down your window and say, hey, could you fill me up? Here's my credit card.
Yeah.
Does someone do it for you? What the fuck, New Jersey? Why is that a law? I think it's like New Jersey, like in Vermont, you can't pump your own gas, or Idaho. Jesus Christ.
In New York, you get the choice. Hey, so do you want to talk about that Ghost Buters reboot cast?
Ghost Bustier? What?
Ghost Buters. No, you spelled Ghostbusters wrong.
Oh.
I'm just giving you shit.
So we brought up this, 6 months ago they announced it.
Did you really just say Ghost Bustier?
I thought it was clever.
No, it's not clever.
Bustier?
Yeah, I fucking get it. That took you, what, 2 seconds?
Yeah, it was quick. I didn't have that pre-planned.
Quick, but probably not witty.
I think it was witty. Someone would have laughed on that. So they announced the cast for this film, which is a reboot. It's not supposed to be connected to the prior
it's not a
movies.
Sequel at all.
No, that's pissed off people, and that's where I'd be more on your side. Why does it have to be a separate universe? Why could it be a continuation? Why I remember in the podcast saying, why couldn't one be like the great niece or niece of one of these original Ghostbusters? So they announced it, and when we were talking about casting way back, I predicted two of them. Not that I'm a genius, but the two more well-known comedic actresses. Kristen Wiig, who's very funny, used to be on SNL, and she's been in lots of movies. Obviously Bridesmaids, and she had a bit part in Anchorman 2. She's hysterical.
She's had a lot of bit parts in a lot of movies, and honestly, I like her as a bit part actress.
More than a lead? Did you see Bridesmaids?
No.
Bridesmaids is a good vehicle.
I should say this. I only know her as a bit part actress, and I find her hilarious. But the other three, I have no clue.
I am not familiar with Leslie Jones. She's a featured player on Saturday Night Live now. I'm a teeny bit familiar with Kate McKinnon from Saturday Night Live, another SNL newer person, just because like when you go on SaturdayNightLive.com and download clips, I've seen her show up. So she's probably very funny. I think she might be the one that does like the Miley Ray Cyrus character on the show. She kind of looks like she does. However, my issue is Melissa McCarthy, who I predicted would be one of the cast members. Melissa McCarthy is the female Kevin James at this point.
I thought you said she was the female Chris Farley.
She's both.
I have never seen this woman in a single movie.
She was in The Heat with Sandra Bullock, who Paul Feig directed that. That's why she's showing up here. And she was in Bridesmaids. And it's not like it's a problem on its surface that she's in the movie, but they're not casting her to play against what she's done in other movies, which is be a bumbling Kevin James. I'm loud, I'm fat, and that's why you should laugh at me. And that is my problem with this movie, because that has absolutely no place in a Ghostbusters sort of film and Ghostbusters sort of comedy.
Who the fuck cares if she's large?
But that's her comedic stick. That's the reason why I didn't like Chris Farley, because that's how they got their laughs. It's just not my comedic preference. I don't like Lou Costello. I don't like Abbott and Costello because of that. It's not funny to me just to be loud and large. That's not my comedic sort of sensibility. And it's definitely not a Ghostbusters sensibility. Ghostbusters was more about, sardonic sense of humor, the wit, the really strange situations and deadpan responses. It's not Melissa McCarthy. That's the problem with it.
Yeah, but there's four main characters. I mean, they can put her in the back. I mean, they can do a lot of things with her. If you're really like, I mean, I don't know who she is. I'm not gonna.
You really have never heard of her?
No, I have no idea who she is. I don't watch movies.
Okay. That's the biggest issue is her. It's not the fact that it's all female cast. I don't give a shit about that. I really don't. That to me is immaterial at this point. It's like I always said to wait for it to be cast and wait for. I think the plots actually come out too, or at least not the plot, like who these players, who they're playing. I think one's supposed to be an MTA worker who encounters the lead ghost. Two are going to basically be the characters in the movie of Bill Murray and Ivan Reitman, like being like, you know, one is basically both in college, and one's more paranormal than the other. So they're following kind of loosely the characters, but they're not retreads directly of the characters. You know, one's obviously got to be looking at them. Kristen Wiig's going to be the Bill Murray sort of probably the closest to that.
Sure,
to match probably. So
I don't know. I mean, I like the first two Ghostbusters movies.
I like the first one.
I like the second one. It's fine. What's wrong with it?
It's just
what
Can I finish? Can I finish?
What?
It's basically the very worst sort of sequel in that it's just bringing everyone back for a second round and no new character development for the four characters. Really, we'll just redo the entire movie again. It's like the Dirty Harry movies, why they got bad.
You know,
it's
I don't know. I mean,
it's a movie just for the sake of seeing the same characters back, and we're not going to do anything interesting with them. Does that make sense?
I guess, except for the fact that I found it wholeheartedly amusing and worth a second go-around. I didn't need a third go-around of that, but I thought the first one was great, and I thought the second one was totally watchable.
It's watchable, but to me, it's like if the first movie's like a 3.5 star movie, the second one's like 2.5. It's a full star drop to me. Or, you know what I mean?
I'm never watching movies with you.
But you have.
Have I? What have we seen together?
We never went to the movie theater together? Let's go see Avengers Age of Ultron together.
I don't think we've ever seen a movie together.
Oh, that's a shame.
Is it? We'll find out, won't we?
Speaking of comic books, so this is just... I want to talk about this real briefly, just because it's annoying that every 3 years, Marvel needs a big, huge comic book event that get the mainstream talking. So they're doing a new Secret Wars.
It's every year. Every summer there's an event.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
It's like, no, it's not. It's bullshit. Like a movie.
How
is it bullshit?
It's bullshit.
They would have run a separate arc and not called it an event otherwise.
It's bullshit. They're doing it now more than ever. So Secret Wars originally was what? I want to say 85 or 84.
What's bullshit is the amount of tie-ins.
84 or 85 was the original Secret Wars. What it did was it brought most of the larger heroes and villains together. It was an okay story to read.
By larger, you're talking about like girth and length, right?
It was 12 issues, and the biggest takeaway from the whole event was Spider-Man got the symbiote black costume from Secret Wars. If that didn't happen, totally forgettable. As far as I know, not much of consequence in the long term came from the original Secret Wars. Secret Wars 2, I've never even read. I heard it's an absolute bust of a story even compared to Secret Wars 1. So this is their new Secret Wars, which is going to combine the traditional 616 Marvel universe, which is the old-timey universe, with the Ultimates universe, which has been around for, about 12, 13 years, roughly. And so, like Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was DC's version of this, where they combine the sort of Golden Age, Silver Age, and Modern Age heroes together, so you had 3 or 4 Superman characters, and kill off everyone except for one of each character. So only one remains to sort of tie up why did Superman used to be able to lift the earth and now he can't. So that was their way of dealing with that, of having to take care of the whole aging part. But now Marvel's now going to be eliminating now, I guess, some of their Ultimate heroes and some of their 616 heroes, and I don't like this at all. I don't.
It doesn't particularly bother me because in the end, it doesn't really mean anything. I think a lot of they've wanted to unify the universes for a while, according to what Vonnie's told me. Now, when I speak about comics on the podcast, I usually try to speak from my own experience, but a lot of times I have to draw from Vonnie. They've wanted to eliminate the Ultimates universe for a while, or at least combine them. There are definitely characters in both universes that are considered better or worse depending on the universe.
I'm sure the Thor sucks in the Ultimate version versus the
whereas Ultimate Falcon is the one that they chose for Winter Soldier because Ultimate Falcon's way fucking cooler. A lot of people will argue back and forth over Ultimate Spider-Man and regular Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spidey is not even Peter Parker anymore. He died. They killed him off.
Well, yeah, but Ultimate Spidey has been a fun ride.
Sure.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens of it, because I think even Vonnie said, like, in the end, it's not much like other Secret Wars stuff. It's not going to have a whole lot of long-term importance, and I think it's still going to end up in two separate universes.
They're going to re-separate them after they say we're combining them?
I don't know. I think that depending on how they do it, if they don't play their cards right, they're going to have to. I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in Marvel right now. I mean, there was the death of Wolverine in the summer, but they announced... No, you have to understand. They announced before they did that it was part of an arc to explain the current X-Men storyline, which I haven't caught up on, and that he's coming back. They announced that he's dying as a plot device, but he's coming back. They're not, they weren't necessarily doing it as a shock, so they announced him coming back first. So I don't know what Marvel's going to get out of this. This is going to be a lot harder to follow than some of their previous, I think, events like the Second Secret Wars or House of M or Age of Ultron or even Avengers vs. X-Men. So it's going to be interesting to see how many people buy this. My problem with this has nothing to do with the eliminating of certain characters. It's that with each event, Marvel requires... They don't require, but you can't just buy the main event book necessarily and get everything out of it. They will, at the beginning of the issue, they will show you a checklist of where you should be going next to read the full story. Mm-hmm. If you're doing a Secret Wars storyline and you're bringing two universes together, just imagine the amount of fucking tie-in books that they're going to be trying to get you to buy. And that's when I lose interest in comics. You can get me for a 24-issue run, and I will buy all 24 issues, no problem. But as soon as you start telling me that I have to start following this comic and this comic and this comic to understand what's going on in this one, that's where I bow out. And they've largely done away with that in recent history, but the events always bring it back. And that's what bothers me about the larger events. But they do it with larger story arcs, too.
Sure. I guess it's their way of, like you said, they're going to push away all those... Like, yeah, the original Falcon, I used to love the 70s Cap and Falcon, but sure. Yeah, he looks goofy compared to the guy we see in Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. That's, an army guy, and it's sleek, it's more quote-unquote realistic.
Ultimate Falcon's fucking awesome. I mean, sure. You totally want Ultimate Falcon to be the main Falcon, and I think that this is their attempt. I have a feeling you'll actually probably see a whole lot less of characters dying off. Maybe going away, maybe going to do new things, but I think
this is their reboot. This is Marvel's reboot, the way DC rebooted with Crisis on Infinite Earth, which gets rave reviews. I still haven't read it.
Yeah,
because I'm not as big a DC fan probably.
Neither
but supposedly it's very well written because you even get cameos of even the minor guys that you hadn't seen in 40 years. You know what I mean? Like they still show up even for a little bit for a send off, and then the best DC books out currently are the ones where they're really trying to be a bit more progressive. Stuff like the new Batgirl, Gotham Academy, which is fantastic. That's totally worth reading. But most of the time, I don't. The first couple Aquaman trades from the New 52 were good. First couple Batman trades were good, but the best part about this is that this is probably the only chance that you'll see deaths have any fucking meaning in a comic book, because they know they're not going to bring back those versions. Have them go out in a heroic way. You know what I mean? That's
exactly.
Actually very, because that's what they did. Here's the spoilers. If you haven't read Crisis on Infinite Earths, how it ends. You know how it ends.
Yeah.
They kill off one of the most beloved guys they ever had, the Barry Allen Flash, who basically saves the day.
Yep.
That's the biggest fucking heroic ending you can have. He saves basically the universe.
And that's probably what they'll do. I mean, that's exactly probably how they'll have it go out, especially with a lot of the ultimate characters, because if they tried them and they failed, well, then let's write a really good way for them to go out saving their other versions.
Because at least, you're never going to see the original Falcon again, but he's going out like a hero, not like a chump.
Right, exactly.
I mean? So I don't have a problem with that. So that gets me a little bit interested, but I'm not a fan of these overdone quote unquote events, and the fact that they have to do one a year is kind of that shows me that their writing's not. I mean,
they do multiple story arcs per year. They just call one
I know what the story arc is, but these huge cross events going back to Civil War.
Well, some of them aren't. Well, yeah, no, they usually cross. By the way, the second Secret War is fantastic.
I thought it got terrible.
If only for you need to read the 3 Captain Britain and M13 trades that come from the Secret War.
I will never do that.
The first one is Secret War. The other, and it starts with Secret War, and it ends with them fighting Dracula on the moon.
I do remember Secret Wars 2 having a lot of one-on-one fights that were interesting. I think one of the famous ones is Daredevil versus Iron Fist, something like that, and Daredevil kicks the shit
I'm not
out of
thinking
him.
Secret War. I'm thinking Secret Invasion.
That's
the Skrulls, which was fantastic.
No, that's in the past 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
No, I'm talking about Secret Wars. From the 80s.
I know. No, I know you are.
I was like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah,
are you
no,
talking about?
I'm thinking of
Secret Wars 2 is
Secret
terrible.
Invasion. No, Secret Invasion was
Okay.
good stuff.
So Secret Wars and Crisis on Infinite Earths came out right after it and blew it away, and people were like, wow, this is what Secret Wars should have been. Secret Wars is a little more lighthearted. But anyway, so we'll see what happens. We'll see who will survive. Speaking of surviving, the segues this week rule.
We're good.
X-Files might be making a limited comeback. I was a huge X-Files fan, being that I never had friends in high school. So on a Friday night, I'd watch X-Files.
I used to watch it with my dad, but I think I only got through the first 5 seasons.
Most people only did because after the 5th season is when the movie came out. And
Right.
the movie answered absolutely no questions.
Yeah.
And that's when it started going downhill.
Yeah.
I think I stayed with it until the 6th season. And afterwards I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Chris Carter, can you answer some goddamn questions and create new ones? That's what most series do.
Season 1 through 5, though, are some of the best TV out there, and I still think one of the scariest shows I remember watching when I was a kid was the X-Files episode in Season 1 where they go to the Antarctic base. And there's that worm parasite that's fucking causing them all to go crazy and kill each other.
Was that season 1? Was that early?
Yeah, I didn't
1
think
or
it,
2?
I didn't think it was. I thought it was season 2, but I'm fairly
there's so
certain
many
it's
iconic,
season 1.
so many
and
iconic episodes.
That's a good
We're
fucking
talking
episode.
like episodes that fill you with terror and like good horror.
Yeah,
in a lot of
like,
those episodes.
it's more a horror movie than it is like an alien movie at that point.
You forget, especially those first, I'd say 2 or 3 years, a lot of the Monster of the Week episodes were really good.
Yeah.
One of my favorite was New York, New Jersey. You had the Worm Man.
Yep,
What a great episode that was.
Yeah, that was a good
The
one.
Jersey Devil one. This is what was always surprised about the X-Files because this isn't like most series where the stars don't want anything to do anymore. Gillian Anderson and Dave Duchovny love these characters.
Yes, they do.
They've always said, we will come back. I have not seen... This was so weird about my sort of how I fell off for this. I still haven't seen the sequel to Fight the Future from, was it 2008? I still haven't seen it. It's supposed to be pretty good, but it's
My
more...
parents went and saw it, and they said it was because they were huge fans. They
Sure.
watched it all, and they were like,
It was all right.
It was all right.
It was more of a Monster of the Week sort of tale versus the conspiracy and the alien
yeah,
mythology.
but they just felt like they got at least a full new X-Files episode. That's what they got.
That made up
out
for
of
the
it.
shitty last episode that was terrible.
Yeah.
Remember, people, in the 9th season, David Duchovny left the show, and you had Robert Patrick and the brunette woman and Gillian Anderson, which was supposedly they were pretty good, but they didn't know how to wrap it up. It was so convoluted when I saw the last episode. The last episode is a guy basically explaining the entire plot of what's been happening because Chris Carter literally lost the plot.
Lost the plot, yes.
And didn't know with all these different, not just the Greys, you had the guys that with the black oil, then you had the bounty hunters, and you had all these different aliens, and it's like, what the fuck? We just want the Greys and the conspiracy with the humans. That's all we ever asked for.
No, all I ever asked for.
We asked for.
All I ever asked for was seasons 1 through 3. Really, that's all I ever.
All
wanted.
we ever asked for. The whole
I loved
promise,
it.
the entire promise of the show was when they said the date of the alien invasion was the end of the Mayan calendar of December 21st, 2012. When they said that back in like 98, 99, you're like, holy shit!
Yeah.
It makes all the sense in the world now. I can't wait for them. There's going to be a movie that comes out. No movie ever came out with the alien invasion on December 21st, 2012. No even thought of a movie because by that point the X-Files franchise had been tarnished from just not being able to end on a strong note, the 2008 movie. And so I remember at Comic-Con, I remember watching the X-Files panel at Comic-Con. I think it was like, actually, it could have been 2013, 2 years ago for the 20th anniversary. And they said, they asked the crowd, or we want to see new X-Files series.
No.
And Duchovny and Gillian Anderson like, yeah, we're on board. And Chris Carter's like, no, I don't think so. And it's like, You fucking idiot.
Yeah.
If we can get a Veronica Mars movie made off of Kickstarter, if you put up an X-Files Kickstarter for a new movie, you know how fucking fast that would fill?
If you have your two mains being like, yes, please, let us.
Yes,
please,
let us do this.
Let us do this.
Yes.
Fuck off, dude. Just
I was always
write
like,
it.
like, Chris Carter, are you that arrogant or just dumb that you couldn't raise... If Veronica Mars raised $5 million, you could raise 25 for X-Files.
Well, and the thing for the X-Files is all he needs to do is, if he wants to do a limited series, do like 6 to 12 episodes.
Oh, perfect. That's all we ask.
And please don't bring in anything from the back. Just start it fresh. Do a 12 episode miniseries.
You want to start it fresh, not tie up everything else?
I don't, dude. He's not going.
Well, at least have a mini. I want the alien invasion tied up. I want what the hell happened.
Yeah,
did they invade or not? It's been 2 years.
I know too. I want to know that too. But like, let's wrap that up in 2 episodes and then do like a 10 episode miniseries. I just. There's no way they're gonna wrap up all the loose ends satisfactorily enough for everyone.
Well, no, that's the biggest one, though.
That I think a fresh story, well thought out with a beginning, middle, and end would be fine.
People want to know what happened with the Greys, with the humans that were basically even above the law and the government, like the inner circle that were conspiring against the humans to save themselves when the invasion happened. We want to know what, like, with this cigarette smoking man, like all his compatriots. Like,
I want to know what's up with Smoking Man.
Well, he's dead.
Well, yeah, but go six episodes deep.
Okay, sure.
Go 6 episodes deep, and then do 6 episodes of your own miniseries.
The company even said that he would have come back for a full season. But yeah, 10 episodes. That's only, what is that, 10 weeks of his life, 3 months? He can do that. Like, that's not as big a commitment as, like, half a year when you're usually doing these series.
No, in reality, that's probably far less of a commitment.
Sure.
So
right. Wow.
Do we really want to... I mean, okay, so...
the best response to this was my buddy Andre Meadows, Black Nerd Comedy, about Fantastic Four. He released a video where he doesn't even have the energy to be angry about this anymore.
No,
I don't either. Our last time talking about this was when they revealed for the Fantastic Four movie coming out. Jeez, it's already coming out when there's been no news on it ever, until like the teaser just came out, was that Dr. Doom would be an antisocial blogger. And so when the teaser came out for Fantastic Four, check it out. It's coming out like in July. It's the tone is just totally, utterly wrong for a Fantastic Four movie. Obviously, the director doesn't care about the legacy of the film and just doing his own thing.
The tone of the movie is wrong, but the number one thing I took away from watching the trailer was the actors' tones are wrong. And by actors' tones are wrong, I mean they literally did not seem like they gave a shit.
I mean, about what was going on or about each other?
About the movie.
About the movie?
No, I mean, watch the trailer. They don't seem like they give a fuck.
I never really got that sort of... You mean they weren't the driving protagonist of it?
Yeah, yes. Exactly.
That's actually a very good point, because in the original story, Reed Richards, and he was like, oh, we have to go out. We have to go out and see what's going on out in space. And so, okay, then obviously you have Ben Grimm's the pilot, so he's on board, and then he has his girlfriend and the brother.
In this one, it's all 4 of them seem like they're along for a ride that scientists are doing, and
that's what's so strange to me. And now you know why I was originally miffed that they cast Johnny Storm's dad at all. Like, why? He's the scientist running the experiment.
Right.
He's the one narrating in the teaser, and it's just like, I don't get it. So if you're running this big experiment, this is where it makes even less sense. Again, and this is just me I'm not being angry, but this is what's the logic of it. This is why are you casting these youngsters, and they're the ones that they're sending off on this like interdimensional test. They're like 25 years old. These would be something that like 40-year-olds would do. Astronauts were not 25-year-olds.
No.
Astronauts were these hardened professional pilots that were like in their 30s and 40s that have been doing it for 20 years.
Right.
Why are you sending these little children up to do... Like, it just... The whole thing just smells wrong. Even the fact that, okay, on its surface, if this was not... a lot of people saying, well, if this wasn't called Fantastic Four, it probably looked pretty cool. And I would agree with that. Like, oh, this is a cool concept. They go to another dimension, get these powers.
I wouldn't. I don't
you
think...
still wouldn't.
I don't think it looks good from any perspective. Angle.
Okay.
And people are going to be real quick to point out that I don't like things, but so I just want to point out that
Did you like something from the teaser? It's not found footage film, at least, like
I'm
Chronicle
not
was.
upset about Club Nintendo. And
You're just going over the whole podcast.
and I'm pleased about World of Warcraft.
If they see those videos in comparison to this,
and we
yes.
made some jokes about jokes about Need for Speed. But anyways, it's but here's where it ties into something we brought up earlier.
Sure.
People have said, and I don't know enough about Fantastic Four to know if it's true, but I believe them, that this is more or less based on the Ultimate
I've read that.
universe. And this
Or
is
closer, at least.
and this is all the more reason for the 616 in the Ultimate Universe.
So you know what's going to happen, then Marvel's probably saying, fuck you to Fox, and they're killing the Ultimate Fantastic Four.
Yeah, exactly.
I can guarantee you.
Right.
Because Marvel's pissed. That's why there's no Fantastic Four comic right now, as far as I understand. They're so
I don't
pissed.
know.
They're not promoting Fantastic Four, and they're not promoting the X-Men as much as they used to because they don't have the film rights to them.
I like the X-Men.
Disney's coming down. I'm saying, well,
the current female X-Men team is a pretty fun story.
you see what I mean? But
Yeah.
Marvel's like, well, screw you. Marvel's not happy with this. People know that. Marvel's not happy. So what's going to happen is this is going to come out. This is going to do worse business than probably the Fantastic Four in 2005, which did respectable enough to get the sequel in 2007. And maybe it'll be the same thing where they'll try again to put a sequel out just to keep the rights, or they'll say, you know what, screw it, we tried, we failed, back to Marvel, we'll sell it back.
And then Daniel Bryan's gonna wrestle for maybe 10 minutes in the Royal Rumble.
Okay. I don't think I was done talking about Fantastic Four.
I'm done talking about Fantastic Four.
Okay, let's talk the Royal Rumble.
All right.
Which is the third or second biggest pay-per-view of the year, probably second.
I look forward to the Royal Rumble every year.
Oh, it's fun. It's a fun time.
Because it's fun.
It's in theory, it's supposed to be fun.
Well, here's the deal. Okay, so I know this isn't how it happened because even wrestlers are usually kept in the dark about what's happening, with other matches and stuff. But I really feel like Brock, Cena, and Rollins got together and put their arms around each other, and they were like, "Boys, we have to make this look good because what's coming up after us is a 100% shit show."
Okay, I don't think that happened, but
yeah, no, I know. But I like to imagine that's how it happened.
well, Cena always people give Cena shit, but he always tries to put on a good match.
Cena's a bitch.
He's not
and he
lazy.
sucks, but like that's just
He's a good worker, if not a great technical wrestler.
He's the term I like to use for wrestlers like him is he's always carryable.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's always carryable.
He can be in very good matches.
He's always carryable.
And this was a very, very good match. If not, I'm not a huge triple threat guy.
I like them as long as they're not title based.
I don't like triple threat ones usually because usually it comes down to, well, one guy gets thrown out of the ring for 5 minutes.
Right.
Now these two will fight until another guy's thrown out of the ring. But this was the coming out party for Seth Rollins, and it wasn't before.
I was going to say,
this cements Seth Rollins as a main event player.
Brock looked okay.
Brock looked fine.
And I hate Brock, but Brock looked okay.
Brock looked like the monster that he is.
I'm a part-timer, and that's it.
It's not his fault he's a part-timer.
It's his fault he sucks.
He doesn't suck.
He sucks. He's sloppy. He sucks. All he does is belly to backs.
He's not sloppy at all.
He's a piece of shit. But he looked good that match. He looked okay that match. But Seth Rollins looked fantastic that match.
Seth Rollins is a stud. Yeah. Seth Rollins is the guy that no one predicted when the show was going, like, oh, this is going to be the guy that will be the main eventer first, but it happened.
Yeah.
He's the biggest heel in the company. I said the last podcast, and he's carrying it. Like, he is carrying it on his back right now. He used to be just okay on the mic, and now he's getting better and better. He's not great yet. He's not even Bray Wyatt level, but he's getting better and better. Right. Enough to be the top heel. Him and Brock were the top heels when Brock's around. And Brock was getting cheered, though, because Brock... People, say what you will about Brock, but people want to see him wrestle. They were cheering for him. They buy that he's a monster.
I think they were cheering for anything good at that point.
No, well, that match came before the Rumble, though. The main event.
I know. And
the rest of the card was who cares?
Yeah.
But it was a good match. Obviously it built. This will matter when we talk about Roman Reigns in a second. Lesnar they built as a super beast because he took 3 AAs in a row attitude adjustments, and got up directly after the first two, and then kicked out of the third one. So they're building him as, Lesnar is fucking tough to beat. Very tough to beat. More tougher than he's been ever in the past. So it worked for that. Rollins got pinned. I don't mind that Rollins is the one that got pinned because he curb stomped him. He showed that he was credible and he was a threat. On to the Rumble. I've not seen every Royal Rumble start to finish.
I've actually seen.
I've seen.
I'm missing. I think Vonnie and I were missing 4 in our collection of all the Rumbles we've seen.
I've seen everyone from what was the first one? 89, from 89 to 95, 96. I've seen them all. Then I've probably seen most of them in the past 10 years, and probably most in the Attitude Era. I think we used to order them on pay-per-view at the time. This was one of the worst Rumbles I've ever seen. One of the worst. And not just because of the ending. We'll get to that. We'll get to just how the pacing was way off. The guys that had strong showings ended up being weak at the end. Totally just bringing back guys like the fucking Boogeyman for no absolute reason at all.
Yep.
Justin Gabriel, very competent and good wrestler, quit because his spot was pulled. And I would have quit too if a guy wasn't getting a chance to begin with. And, you bring back the Boogeyman, someone that hasn't been around for like 7 years. Anyone was around, no one gave a shit about him. Just for a spot with Bray Wyatt. The first two that start a Rumble are usually two either guys that are really good or go a long time.
One's going to go the distance.
These were The Miz and R-Truth.
Yeah.
Starting it off. What?
Yeah. No.
One that's part of a comedy tag team act, and one who's been a jobber for a year and a half, 2 years.
One who's part of a comedy tag team act, and he is the comedy as opposed to the comedy being the comedy.
Well, he's a serious one, but I know what you're saying.
Yes.
You know, he's a guy that's fallen way off the map.
No, I'm just saying in terms of wrestling ability.
He's a fine wrestler, but he's not. He was a main eventer back when the roster was so paper thin that there was no other choice.
Right. That doesn't mean anything good for him.
So the big takeaways before we get to Daniel Bryan, we'll try to keep that to less than 20 minutes. Bray Wyatt had a super strong showing in the start. He eliminated like 4 or 5 guys in a row.
That was good.
He was one of the guys that every year, it happened with CM Punk 3 or 4 years ago, where he would eliminate guys and just talk on the mic for 2 minutes, and it worked out excellently.
Yep.
Excellently when that happened, when he was part of the Straight Edge Society and saying, "I'm your savior," you know. So Bray Wyatt ended up being strong at the beginning. Then Daniel Bryan comes in.
Oh God!
Dan
10, right?
I would say
9 or 10.
About number 10. Wyatt was in there. I don't know if Rusev was in there or just came in afterwards.
Now, if you watch Rumbles, you have to understand that 10
is a weird.
That's
spot.
a worrisome spot for someone to come in at. They usually like to play up that there is a benefit to getting in towards the end, or they like to play up a story about how this guy has lasted a long time.
Sure.
And you can do that from a 10 spot, but that's just not generally a spot that they pick to put a long-term player in the Rumble.
Vast majority of winners have come from the first 3 or around 1920 onwards.
Yeah.
Usually not in the middle.
Nope.
Because they don't want to burn out or overexpose a guy in the middle, or they want to, again, play that story up that, like Shawn Michaels or Chris Benoit or Rey Mysterio or Ric Flair was number 3 when he won the title.
Yeah, that was amazing. When
that's the best Rumble still.
Ric Flair winning is fantastic.
Yeah. But anyway, so the point was, Bryan comes in. That didn't even hit me at the time. Daniel Bryan is the most popular wrestler on the planet Earth right now, and that's not hyperbole. That's the truth. He's the most popular wrestler.
Sure.
So the most popular wrestler is supposed to be fighting for the title at WrestleMania, and it happens every year. That's tradition, because that's how you make your money as a wrestling company. That's how you garner interest.
But Vince likes to give Roman Reigns hand jobs. Anyways, continue.
Roman Reigns has been the hand-picked golden boy.
The hand-picked golden boy?
For a year and a half. Ever since CM Punk on his podcast even said, okay, we want you to beat the Shield, but you got to make Roman look good. And they keep repeating to him. I was like, okay, I'll make him look good. Roman had the strong Rumble showing last year. He eliminated the most guys in one Rumble. He looked good because at the time, Roman didn't have to talk on the mic. He was still part of a team. He wasn't exposed as a singles wrestler. So after the Shield broke up, and what was it, April or May, it broke up. Roman Reigns has been exposed, and we've said it for months, as he is an average wrestler with below average mic skills that has a good look, and that's what he is.
That's
the point. That's not saying he can't get better, but that's what he is now.
He can get better, but what bothers me is that they are basically picking wrestlers on look because that's what Vince likes. Vince
Yes.
is always going back to the 80s. Vince has been about the look.
And before you say we wanted Reigns to win last year, no, we wanted Bryan to win last year, but he wasn't in the event,
Right.
so he was a better choice than Batista. But Reigns winning was worse than Batista winning because at least Batista in the past was a commodity you knew of. At least he was a main eventer.
there's
He wasn't
also-
your choice, but he was a main eventer at least in the past.
It's not even that. At a simpler level, it's simply this is 2 years in a row that the Royal Rumble has not just disappointed, but horribly disappointed.
Okay, and so basically, going back to Bryan real quick, he lasted 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This is akin. You imagine if Stone Cold didn't win the Rumble in '97, but he was getting popular by then.
Yeah.
Imagine if Stone Cold comes in the Rumble and is knocked out unceremoniously in 10 minutes. They would never do that to
No.
a guy. Even if Stone Cold in '97 is not as big as Bryan now. '98 he was, but not '97. So to do that to Bryan, the deflated the entire audience. And you can say it was a smart audience in Philly. I don't give a shit. They're buying your product. Call them whatever you want. They're the ones supporting your product. They're the ones buying the WWE network. That's your customers.
And I fucking hate to say it because people, some people get on there and say they hate smarks and stuff like that in the comments, whatever. Smarks are the people who are going to dump the most money into your product.
Smarks was us in college when we bought most of the pay-per-views.
Yeah,
And
Smarks.
we bought Halloween Havoc.
Smarks for me, 97 through 2003, when we bought every single WCW and WWF pay-per-view. Every single one.
Smarks was us going to buy tickets to see WrestleMania 20 in MSG.
Yeah.
That was us. We were spending the cash.
Yeah.
We were the ones buying the merchandise. I wasn't buying the toys, but I knew people were buying like the toys and shit like that. Buying the DVDs at the time. So I don't want to even hear that fucking bullshit.
So once Daniel Bryan getting eliminated deflates the audience, my buddy and I who are watching it, we're just like, fuck it.
Now you know what's going to happen.
We just start chugging. No,
You're done.
seriously, we just start
You're
chugging. When DDP came out, riotous round of applause. We rooted him through his whole 45 seconds.
A few diamond cutters.
Yo, dude, he got it.
He got a few diamond cutters.
He looked good in the ring. He got a couple diamond cutters off from a couple different angles, and I was like, yeah.
I think Daniel Bryan only dumped out one guy, maybe two at most, too.
But no, seriously, that's what happened. Like, Daniel Bryan goes out, we start chugging, we start
didn't care
cheering
anymore.
for the cheap fucking pops. We're like, what the fuck ever, we don't care. Fucking Reigns wins, and we both look at each other and we go, did Reigns really win this way? Like, no Ambrose,
Let's
no
back up.
Ziggler.
Back it up.
So in the final, okay, here's the deal. If Bryan's isn't gonna win, and Reigns is going to,
And Reigns came in at 19.
you're right. Give us a good final three.
Or 4.
4.
Give us a good final 4.
You could have had Ziggler, who the WWF is currently in the process of doing nothing with again, after his amazing match at
Survivor Series.
and Ambrose, who they have managed to turn from a crazy man into a joke.
The final 4 or 5. If Bryan's out, okay, I'll give you that. Bryan should have won. Okay, if he's out, final 4 or 5. Wyatt, Rusev, Ziggler, Ambrose.
Yeah.
And who's the 5th one?
Reigns.
Yeah. If that would be acceptable.
Jesus, at least give us a good final match.
It was so badly booked because when Wyatt's a guy that was the monster of throwing guys out, when he was tossed out, it was like, what the fuck just happened to you?
Oh, dude, he got dumped.
It's usually supposed to be when a guy like that, like DiBiase and the early Royal Rumbles would last a long time. When they got thrown out, it was a huge deal when they finally went out. Even that was bad. So this was incomprehensible in how tone deaf they are. In 2015, not the year 2000, in 2015, 2 of your final 3 in the Royal Rumble are Big Show and Kane. This isn't 98 or 99 or 2000 or 2000 even 4. 2015. You are trying to turn the page. You're trying to create new stars. This is not the way you do it. And it's not the way to promote the up-and-comers that the fans love. Here's the totem pole of people that get cheers. There's Daniel Bryan in a league of his own. John Cena, who gets cheers and boos. And then you have Ambrose and Ziggler right underneath them. Not counting Brock Lesnar, who gets a lot of heat and a lot of cheers. Those guys should not be dumped unceremoniously out without any effort by Big Show and Kane like they're fucking garbage.
Yep.
That was symbolic symbolic of the direction of the company and people's frustration. Was that more than Bryan was that?
And it's just so like, keeping with like kayfabe and psychology-wise, it doesn't make any sense either. You've got
Psychology-wise, Ziggler comes out on 30th. 30 is the best spot. Why is he 30th if the Authority hates him? That didn't even make any sense.
Right.
He should have been number 1 and worked his way up till the end and then got tossed out.
No, but I'm just saying,
know?
fucking, what's the last pay-per-view? TLC. No, in TLC, when Ziggler beat Luke Harper. Ziggler beating a big guy. Like, totally keep like the struggle is scripted well, you know. He's totally wrestling this big guy, and then you're telling me he's number 30 and Big Show's just gonna dump him immediately.
Yeah, like Ziggler got into a few rounds of offense, and then he gets the knockout punch and dumped like trash.
Yeah.
No struggle, and then Ambrose is dumped like trash. So you're stuck with Reigns. And we'll get to Rusev. Rusev was like hiding at the time.
Yeah.
God, this is like we're trying to keep this on.
I remember Rusev was hiding, and I remember Vonnie and myself and Alan looking at each other and being like, "Can we get a Rusev victory?" Like,
Rusev became Reigns from last year, the lesser of two evils. So, and here's the thing though: Reigns beating Kane, and Reigns didn't even look strong beating Kane and beating Big Show. So that was even booked horribly. He looked like a fucking punk. Yeah. Because the only reason he wasn't tossed was because when Kane and Big Show were going to toss Reigns, all of a sudden Big Show decided, I'm going to try to toss Kane as well. And then Kane got in his face. And they started attacking each other. And then Reigns dumped both of them.
Yeah.
What? That's a strong victory? Which was a preemptive victory. So they decided to book The Rock to come in and help his cousin out. Which is, again, booking your guy strong when your big older cousin, popular cousin, has to help you look strong. They book him to come in and help him because Kane and Big Show are beating him up after they get tossed. The crowd boos The Rock. They cheer first and they're like, "Oh, now we see what you're trying to do. Now we see that you're trying to manipulate us into cheering for a winner that we do not want."
Yeah.
So they boo him, and then they decide, okay, we have this in our back pocket. Rusev was never really eliminated. They send him back in and quickly eliminated, and they boo again. Worse than last year, more boos than last year. 2 years in a row.
They blocked wrestlers from leaving the arena.
That's what the word was. That the fans were
I don't know
pissed
if you
off.
read that. The fans were so pissed off, they formed human blockades around all of the garage entrances.
Cancel WWE Network was the number one trending on for 24 hours was number one trending topic on Twitter in the world.
It was trending so high and for so long that Time Magazine wrote an article on it.
I had some of the most popular tweets Sunday night because that was up there. That's not good. And again, you can say, well, it's Philly, it's Smarks. No, Smarks are what are buying your product. They're the ones buying the network. They're the ones going back and watching all the content you have on the network. If they cancel, you're in trouble. Now, they did come out with we just topped 100 million subscribers. Yeah, you know why? That still counts the people that canceled because they're going to still be counted until their credit card runs out the next month. And all the people that are getting it for free to watch the Rumble, you're counting. Right. And plus, they just opened it up to the overseas, like in the UK, or finally have it, is counting that too. I'd love to see how many people actually canceled. It's not going to be a small amount. It's not going to be a couple of thousand that canceled. I guarantee you that. No. If half the people booed, if most people booed, people are not happy about this.
All right. We should move on to Q&A shortly, but we should touch on one more thing.
It's only been 16 minutes.
We should that's too long. We should touch on one more thing. That's Bryan being dumped because people thought he was not ready. No, bullshit. Bryan did not get dumped
from his injury, you mean?
Yeah.
No.
Bryan did not get dumped because they did not think he was medically ready. They would not have.
He's wrestled several matches the past month.
Right. They would not have put him in the ring if he was not medically ready. And the fact of the matter is, the Royal Rumble is not the most taxing match. Other than the dump you take outside to the mats, which you largely get to dictate how hard it's going to be. Dude, all you're doing is throwing some fake punches and maybe a signature move or two.
These dumb motherfuckers don't remember that Edge came back from a horrific neck injury and debuted at the Rumble and then won it?
Right.
So, why this is why they're so stupid, because not only because they're not pushing Bryan, but they didn't realize the reaction you'd get in Philadelphia of all places. Why have Bryan come back and do an emotional fake retirement to announce he's going to come back to the Rumble and have the fans lose their fucking shit.
And then have him out.
And then have him out and have the fans furious. Don't even bring him back then. People would have less of a problem then if he came back in a couple weeks.
And the thing is, some people have said, well, there's larger plans for it. I don't know. I saw the faces on Stephanie. I saw the faces on Triple H.
Oh, when they came out,
I saw the faces on
Roman Reigns was crying almost.
Roman Reigns and The Rock. No one was expecting that, and I don't know why no one was expecting that, but no one was expecting that sort of negative cheer. There's a difference between an upset in just plain telling your customers to fuck off.
Yeah, this was not boos that, a guy we didn't like won. This was fuck your product boos.
Yeah.
This is finger poke of doom boos. I had not seen a reaction like this since the finger poke of doom when the NWO came back together from the Wolfpack in black and white, and then Nash gave up the title to Hogan again, and that was the death knell of WCW. Yep. That was the beginning of the end right there. I'm not saying it's the beginning of the end for WWE. They're too big to probably fail, quote unquote, but this is the beginning of a mass exodus. I am not interested in watching WrestleMania, and I'm dead serious. I don't care if they put Bryan back in as a triple threat again, which they don't want to do reportedly because they don't want to go to the well twice again. But Bryan has no plans. The most popular wrestler on your roster has no plans for WrestleMania. They're going to probably, rumor, have him fight a heel Sheamus. Oh, that's interesting.
Is there anything between Rumble and WrestleMania?
Yeah, they have the Fastlane. They got rid of Elimination Chamber. So there you have it. It's going to be booed heavily. It's going to be bad because they know Brock's going to leave probably. So reportedly, Brock said he's willing to work more dates if they pay him the per diem, but WWE doesn't want to do it, which I think is a mistake because Brock's the only other big heel they have in the company besides Rollins. You can say Wyatt, but they kind of halfway buried Wyatt and try to build him back up. So they're in trouble. They are in deep trouble because now if they know Brock's leaving, it's going to be like Goldberg versus Lesnar at WrestleMania 20, which I was at, and they booed the hell out of that because they knew both were leaving. They're going to boo Lesnar leaving probably, and they're going to boo a guy they don't like. And the only way to save it is to turn him heel with Heyman. The only way to save it is to turn Reigns heel with Heyman, but you still lost everyone because of Bryan not getting his Royal Rumble moment. That's all I'm going to say about it. I've been watching wrestling for 30 years. I semi know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff.
Yes, so do I, but they'll tell you don't.
Q&A time
Ryan
on the Senior Podcast.
Ryan Barbour, what are your thoughts on the growing esports? Counter-Strike Go, League of Legends, Dota 2 seen in recent years.
What's Dota 2?
It's like a League of Legends, I think. I don't remember the actual analogy. My thought on esports in general is I think it's pretty cool, but I like the smaller scale ones. There are a lot of small scale, simple to learn, easy to pick up esports games that focus solely on competition but ease of entry. And I very much like that. As far as Counter-Strike Go, I don't care. League of Legends...
I never liked Counter-Strike.
League of Legends is a toxic environment that I want nothing to do with.
So I don't know anything about the competitive scene for that.
They're just assholes. I don't even think this guy's going to argue. They're all assholes. And Dota 2, I don't know much about, but like the big arenas that fill up to watch StarCraft matches, and then like the smaller stuff that's like starting to come up with like iDarb and Sports Ball and games like that. I think that's very cool.
I will say this, and this is where I don't have a problem with it. I can get into a semantic argument about calling it esports, which other people disagree on. I won't, but this is what I will get into. Athletes in competitive environments take pride, or at least it's encouraged that they show a lot of class in victory or defeat. Gaming, by and large, for what I've seen, classiness and playing head-to-head doesn't go hand in hand. So if they conduct themselves as quote-unquote athletes, and then, like you said, not make it a toxic environment, that's fine. Because then the competitive side of sports mixed with gaming, the positive attributes, that's fine. But if it's not going to be there, then it's like, then it's just...
It's like me playing fighting games with my friends and playing fighting games online with people who I have a headset on with. It's way more fun with friends because it's a fun environment. We're still pushing each other. We're still shit-talking each other. But then you get online with like a 12-year-old who's just going to call you all sorts of slurs and stuff. And it's like,
Yeah, I've watched some of the competitive... I do watch some of it. And you hear from the announcers that, this guy's known to taunt opponents and be a dick. And I'm like, this is not fostering a positive environment.
That's not something I want anything to do with.
You know what I mean? It's like, and yeah, you're a fucking video game player.
Yeah,
and that's where and that's where I just get a little bit. That's where the esports thing sort of bothers me a bit.
All right, from Minatrix. Dose Ian think Pat has too much stuff in his collection?
I think this does. Do you think I have too much in my collection, Ian?
Yes, I do.
Can you expound upon that?
I shot your entire collection video from 2-3 years ago.
It took 3 hours?
Yeah, 4.5. Anyone who's seen that... Anyone who's seen that knows that you have way too much shit in your collection. Boxes and boxes of, like, Apple games you are never going to touch.
We were supposed to go through my Apple stuff. We said we were going to do that, my Apple stuff. We did say that.
You do have too much.
No, what else? What else do I have too much about? Ian, come on, let's hear it. This is your chance.
Let's just grab a camera and go walk out into your living room.
Living room's clean. Living room's clean. There might be a Sega CD I tested on the carpet.
Pat has more in his collection than you think. Rich Bergen. Pat, do you actively hunt boxes and manuals to make your game CIB, or is it just your favorites?
It's sort of that weird thing where if I see it in front of my face, I'll buy a box or a box game if it's cheap, but I'm not hunting them. I have every boxed NES game in 85 and 86. It took me forever to find a decent Chubby Cherub and not get raped on the price. For a long time, they're like $400. I think I paid like $200 for mine, or $180. So I got a Chubby Cherub. That's done. I'm not seeking out any more boxes. However, it's always weird though when I find a box with no game, then I gotta find the manual to complete it.
So it's one of those things where if I told you a box and manual for a game you really liked was online, you probably wouldn't care. But if it was at a convention, you'd buy it.
Yes. So most of my favorite games, like the only games I ever wanted to get sealed, were Golgo 13 and Fat Conspiracy because I love Top Secret Episode. Other than that, though, when I come across like a sealed game or a complete box game, it's happenstance. Happenstance. I'm a writer. In terms of manuals, it is a sort of weird goal to get every NES manual because you know why? There's not much else that's on my list of things to get. So the manuals are for the most part cheap. I can have a list of them. I have about 130 left that I need out of the 750. However, the remaining ones, I'd say 90% of those would cost me at least $5 to $10 or way up there. So it's never going to happen. Right. I do know that.
Top must-play NES games for gamers on a budget. No sports titles, brother. My favorite, off the top of my head, there's 3.
Let me bring a list up.
For me, it's going to be Bump and Jump. It's going to be City Connection and
So are we talking $10 and under?
I'm going to try to go for $5 and under because all 3 of those that I just listed should be 5.
So no Ninja Gaiden, like an $8 to $10 game.
I mean, you could do that, sure.
I'm going to bring up the list. How about Gradius?
Gradius is usually more than 10.
Really? Yes. Wow, I'm out of the list. All right, I'll have to go by year. I'm just going to go through the list of games, and I'm going to stop when I think from A to Z. Games that are under 10 or under, or 5 or under. We'll say 10 or under. 1942, 1943. Are those under 10?
Yep.
Okay. How about? I like 720 Degrees a lot.
We are not going through this entire list. Just,
all right.
Just be a person who plays the games.
Adventure Island.
And name a game that you like that's cheap. You've played these.
Adventure Island. How about the Kung Fu Heroes?
No. But Kung Fu.
Kung Fu?
But Kung Fu definitely not.
Super Off-Road.
Yep. Super Off-Road.
Smash TV.
No.
I like Smash TV a lot.
I don't like it on the NES.
It's a great port. It's still good when you use 2 controllers.
I would say Clu Clu Land, but that's probably not under 10 anymore. No,
that's not. B-52.
No.
That's not a $10 game? That's a $10 game?
I don't think it's a good one.
We can't say sports games for some reason.
Well, because...
is the first Castlevania? That's over 10.
Those are much more now. I don't know. I'm going to stick
City Connection.
I already said City Connection. My guns that I'm going to stick to are Bump and Jump, City Connection, Batman, and if it's still under 10, Guardian Legend.
How about Dragon Spirit?
Dragon Spirit's good. That's under 10.
You're gonna be looking at the shooters, those sort of esoteric titles.
Something like Xanac isn't going to be too pricey.
Eliminator Boat Duel.
That's actually...
Has that gone up?
That's gone up.
Legendary Wings?
Legendary Wings is going to be 10 or under.
Yeah, so that's what you're looking at. You're looking at those titles that are the uncommon ones or shooters, since we can't say sports ones, or otherwise those mainstream ones that are more niche titles. Like I'm looking at a Goonies 2, where
Yeah, Goonies 2 is like an $8 game, and I think it's great. Pat hates it, but it's worth trying out for that amount of money.
Blaster Master is a great
Blaster
one.
Master is
that's
definitely
cheap.
good. Bionic Commando might push into the $15 range, but that's really good. And then these are 20 about right now, but get them before they get higher. DuckTales and Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers are fantastic.
The Tengen titles, a lot of those are very quality, and like the Gauntlet. Gauntlet's really cheap.
Decent Gauntlet, decent Alien Syndrome, decent Shinobi.
Yep.
Not a decent Fantasy Zone. Don't get that one.
Hell, I like playing a game like Jeopardy on the NES. That's like a $2 game. You know,
Yeah, as long as you've never played it before, it's fun.
sure. And then unfortunately, Danny Solo's Indie Heat. It's going up. People realize it's a great game.
Yeah, we've really boosted the value on that one.
How about a Milan Secret Castle?
Yes, I would take Milan
Hudson
Secret.
Soft. Hudson Soft games, by and large, aren't that much money.
The Adventure
Like
Island titles
Dino-
can be more, but something like Mendel Palace is really good. Dino Riki is really good. That's like a weird platformer shooter.
Does Tecmo World Wrestling, does that count as sports?
No. We'll call that a $10
Rad
game.
Racer.
Rad Racer's always fun.
So yeah, again, it has to be a racing, shooting, and esoteric titles, arcade titles like Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man, the excellent Tengen version of Miss Pac-Man with all the different options on it.
I'll just say this. If you go into a video game store that's worth its salt and you say, hey, I'm looking for stuff that's good under $10, they should be able to point it out to you. I do that multiple times a week.
Rollerball.
Sure.
There's a ton. This is why I...
Rock and Ball.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I probably rent that at first, but Rollerball's good too.
Rollerball's weird.
Silkworm. Is that even a $10 game? Is it pushing it?
Maybe 10.
Hell, a lot of those Zapper games, like Gotcha's a fun game.
Yeah.
It's cheap.
As long as you've got the right TV, those are fun.
So yeah, so when people say Nintendo's not fun to collect for, you can still find lots of games that are cheap. Star Soldier.
Robert Persaud. No, we're not fucking answering your question, you sick son of a fucking bitch. That's the guy who asks, is a total fucking asshole to me online on You banned him.
I banned him because he was a douchebag to you for no reason on YouTube. And you said,
he acts like he's my best friend on Twitter, and then he's a huge fucking douchebag on YouTube. So fuck you. Fuck you.
You know what? Since I'm sometimes friendly with Ian, fuck you too, Robert.
Yeah, you piece of shit.
Okay. This is a fun question. This is from @ChemicalWhoBoy. What would retro gaming be like if on-disc DLC or day one patches existed in the NES era? So that would mean like you would have to download the latest roster update for Baseball Simulator 1000 when it came out because they traded some players away or something, or like if you're playing Super Mario Brothers,
Pipes expansion.
yeah, exactly. So they add the warp zone in for DLC, like you pay like $1.99 for the warp zone at the end of 1-2, stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's a crutch DLC for content that they either didn't have time to finish or they want to make extra money. But no, the games would be a disaster, especially on the NES. I don't think it'd be possible, especially since NES games are so much more limited in scope.
Right.
But it'd be funny to just think about...
You couldn't withhold anything and then add it back later and still release a complete game is kind of the problem.
Yeah, so imagine DLC in Legend of Zelda, like the magic wand. You have to download in order to get, because you don't need the magic wand to beat the game.
No.
But to have it's pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't need the magic boomerang, but so you know what I mean. But
pay for larger bomb purses in Zelda
instead of finding exactly. Upgrade 8 to 16. You instead of finding them yourself and paying the rupees, you got to buy them.
Right.
There you go. It's perfect.
From Camo Yoshi. Hey Pat and Ian, hope you're doing well. Do you ever get time to play games for fun and not for a project or video? Well,
Ian does.
Well, since I don't do videos all the time, but Pat, no, he doesn't. He doesn't play anything.
I don't have a lot of time to. I hate to say it, but one of the good things about doing Let's Plays is a lot of time they broadcast them live, and it's a time to actually enjoy your game. And so it's actually appealing to me that I actually can sit down and make content while playing the game at the same time. That actually is the one good part about doing a Let's Play that appeals to me. But no, by and large, I really don't have that sort of time. I'm sort of hustling here right now with the podcast and other ventures like my DVD, which takes a lot of time. But every once in a while, I'll play. I said time to play Mario Kart when it came out at night. Usually at night is the only time I play. Like instead of watching TV, I can play a video game.
Still need to get Smash and play with Allie and Caitlin and Vonnie and I and John and all of our friends.
You fall asleep.
Ian Baines, do either of you collect old home computers and the games for those? If so, which ones? I collect for Amiga, Spectrum, and Amstrad.
Hey, you must be from overseas.
I'm a huge Apple II fan, Apple IIe specifically, and I do get games. The stuff that I tend to collect for the Apple IIe, though, is they used to make these like educational program like zines that would come on 1 or 2 discs. A Microzine by Scholastic was one that was very popular. The thing about these is even though they were educational, they had really, really fun games on them. Some were like Choose Your Own Adventure with RPG type battles.
Were these free?
They came to your school and you'd play them in the computer lab. Some would be basic primers, for basic, but very cool stuff. So I love a lot of the educational software for the Apple IIe. That's kind of what I focus on. Other than that, I don't have the time to pick up computer collecting as another hobby. I stick specifically to a couple educational zines.
I'm glad I got into it before it's gotten hot the past year or two, because I grew up with a IBM PC compatible, which I still have to buy. I want to buy the exact PC I had. My dad junked it. I have the monitor right there that we have. That's a freaking fantastic man-in-a-box monitor because you can hook AV into it. But MS-DOS titles, I have a lot of the old Sierra titles. I'm trying to get a couple more from there. Not to complete a collection, I just want a couple of ones. I have a lot of the old Ultimas that I've picked up here and there. I have the all that Key Punch, the ones I used to tell you about. Like you walk into B. Dalton bookstore. Yeah. And the little guys.
Yeah.
And I have like 70 of those now because a guy sent me a bunch of them.
Wow.
Because he had new old stock of them. And I have the exact Space Games one that I had as a kid out there sealed.
That, yeah.
And I have all the other ones. I have the one I remembered as a kid. I remember the ones as a kid. Like these are like they're usually 4-game packs, and the artwork was just ripped off. So I still have, I have one in the garage. I remember since I was 5 years old having Wolverine on the cover of it. No Wolverine game, but Wolverine ripped off on the cover, and they got away with it because these were smaller operations that were, I think, regional. So I collect those, and I wish I had display for that because I remember how just thrilled I was as a kid going into like Walden Books or B. Dalton at Woodbridge Center and having that computer section like in the middle of the store. You could sit down, the computer and the Key Punch software on the little pegs right there, and you could try software. I remember an Incredible Hulk game from the mid to late 80s there that we saw and things like that. It's just that's why I always loved PCs back then, because you're just thrilled with just the experience of, I guess, you learn how to use a computer at the same time playing the games. On a console, you obviously didn't get that, so that's what made it fun.
Do you think, this is from Alan Turkall, do you think opening a retro video game rental store would be something that could succeed? My quick answer is no, absolutely not.
It's very risky.
It's super risky. Here's the deal. People don't like, and I know this because there's places in my area that do DVDs this way. People don't like leaving a credit card or a deposit. And the only way to make a video game rental place work is to get a decent deposit, because otherwise someone can take a $50 game from you and never return it. With retro games, it's even harder to replace. At least with modern games, like when Blockbuster did it, they could just order a new copy. The other problem is it's the same as amassing enough inventory for a retail store, only not quite as bad. You still need to amass quite a few of these games, then you have to decide on a proper price. And I think the era of video game rental is done, because it's not.
Is GameFly even around anymore?
Yes,
they're doing okay.
They're doing fine, but I just don't think. I think the risk for a mom and pop brick and mortar store is too high for them to ever do rental.
Okay, so you mean for brick and mortar, but GameFly is still going to do okay?
Yeah, I mean, like if you've got a lot of money in a central location and a mailing database and credit card numbers on hand, fine. But if it's a brick and mortar store and like me or Treg are responsible for replacing a $70 game every time one goes missing, fuck it. It's not going to work out.
Oh man, just imagine if there was like an NES streaming service like Netflix, like for like $10 a month.
That would be pretty awesome. Not counting the NES Marathon. This is from Blue Jester. What game and for how long have you been lost in just one game? For me, it's actually a newer game. Not new, but I mean, PlayStation era. It was Saga Frontier. I'm one of the few people who will defend that piece of crap. I love it. I love the pre-rendered backgrounds. I love how it's like 7 different RPGs, but they give you almost no direction, and I've gotten more lost in that game than I have Legacy of the Wizard for the NES.
As a kid, Top Secret episode, the freaking maze in Rio de Janeiro, which I didn't beat until I got to college. Absolutely just mind-bogglingly difficult and complex. I always say that. However, the number one game that I probably to this day, that's a game like games that were difficult, I still managed to beat when I was older, like Ninja Gaiden and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Couldn't beat it as a kid, but when I got older, I could beat them. A game that if you gave it to me now with no cheats, I would still not be able to beat today would be Return to Zork on the computer.
Yeah. Return to Zork has just so many ways to fuck you over.
Put a gun to my head, I would not be alive if you gave me 2 days to even beat that game.
Get that plant, but get that plant the proper way. Dig it up as to not damage the roots. Don't just pull the plant from the pot.
Yeah, get that meat, make sure it doesn't go right or right. You know, it's like shit like that where that's where Sierra got it right. We're getting rid of that shit where you'd lose the game early on and not realize it, where Sierra did away with that bullshit.
They never really did.
They kept more of the
LucasArts was more of the we're more friendly towards that.
Well, LucasArts kept it more toward the environment, do the puzzles in the one environment.
Right.
But a game like Space Quest, you couldn't get farther and fail later. A game like King's Quest, I think, did away with that for the most part later on. But I think I haven't played
King's Quest 5.
Did it have that?
Yeah, dude, you get a pie, and you think the first thing you should do is throw the pie at the person who's acting like a jackass, and you, like, need it, like, an hour later to throw at a Yeti.
Oh.
And if you've already thrown the pie, you're fucked. No, Sierra games were never not full of those, like, you're fucked 2 hours later.
Oh, okay. But for some reason, it always seemed at least I could beat those.
If you take your time, I mean, with the exception of things like the pie, if you take your time, you're gonna be okay.
Okay, but those were don't use an item the wrong way. In Zork, it was make sure you get the items in the proper order at the proper time and collect them the proper way, which was just like ridiculous. And then you had to do stuff in Zork like there's a part where I had to buy the cheat book.
Yeah.
I had to. I had the game for like 4 years and I couldn't beat it. I think it was one of the games that came with my Sound Blaster 16 set.
I'm gonna need a cheat book called Depends if we don't finish up these last.
It's not my fault you drink. Where it depends. There's a part in Return to Zork where these two dwarfs talk to each other. They're like mining dwarfs.
Dude, it's all over the game.
But this is what's the worst part. And there's a third one, and they start talking about like how they should build something, and they start saying, "All right, I want this left, right, center," and it's like a 35-second thing. Mm-hmm. You have to write those down for the minecart sequence later and follow those exact directions.
Yeah.
There's no way for you to realize that until you there's no way unless you guess that, oh, that's for the minecart thing later on. Just shit like that it's not even intelligence. It's just guesswork and just utter bullshit. Okay, moving on.
Well, as much as I love adventure games, there are a few that fall victim to that sort of thing. Hobby Drifter, what do you think is fueling interest in Famicom games abroad? Just the lower prices or legit interest in the roots of the NES? My answer to this is going to be a little bit of both. One, definitely lower prices. You can get something like DuckTales 2, exact same game, $30-$35 as opposed to $80-$90. Two, it's a lot like people who can play Famicom games. It's a lot like the PC Engine. Not only is it cheaper, but there's just shit that you never could get over here that's going to cause you interest. Now, it's not as exciting necessarily as a whole, I don't think. I haven't looked over the whole library, but you can still get things like Kid Dracula that you can't get over here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would say for the most part, it's getting games that you can't get here. I would say because if you say the roots of the NES, it's not like people are going out and buying the black box games in the Famicom version.
Right, and it's not like they're any different.
Yeah.
There is no real root. I mean, you're at the root with the NES.
They're buying expensive games that are expensive in the US, like Little Samson, that you can't get here.
Lickel is still ridiculously expensive over there.
Probably because more people are buying it here. Or people are trying to make fucking conversion cards that we talked about a year ago. And try to pass those real. So I think it's not the roots at all. I just think it's a cheaper alternative like PC Engine versus TurboGrafx.
Joaquin Gonzalez. What do you usually do when you get frustrated with a game? Do you swear, throw a controller? Have you ever broken anything? I have a mouth like a fucking sailor, so I definitely swear. I've never broken anything. Throw a controller? Yes, but not in that, like, stereotypical, like, I'm a pissed off 8-year-old way where you wing it across the room. When I throw controllers, it's me going, fuck. And I just throw it up in the air, and it gently lands back in my lap. But I still give it a toss, just to get my displeasure across.
My dad used to throw my controller across the room when I used to beat him at double dribble. I used to beat him badly at double dribble.
Did you tell your dad he had to buy you a new controller?
No, he never broke it. It's always funny because I didn't know why my dad bought me double dribble and never bought me Tecmo Bowl, for example. Because
we've talked about this
conversation
before.
because I wasn't a huge basketball fan as a kid. I was a football fan.
we've definitely
And he never
talked
bought me
about
ice hockey or Blaze of Steel. Dad, what the hell's going on? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, when I get really frustrated with the game to the point where I don't want to play anymore, I don't want to play it anymore.
Yeah,
I'm past the point where
That's me.
getting really, really angry. I mean, if it's for the marathon of Mega Man, yeah, it's for fun. It's part, acting, a little bit. But no, I'm way past that point. The last thing this is probably what got me over it. In college, I was a lot angrier in college. Who wasn't? I used to be a huge Worms Armageddon player online. Love playing.
Yeah,
that's when they had like rankings online. I one time slammed I fucked up something. I forget. I misfired the Super Sheep or something weird that I lost this tense match. I slammed my arm against the table like, even my mirror was like, what the fuck? I damaged. Probably to this day, I still feel sometimes like tendons right around here, where it's like, wow, I was a really fucking idiot for doing that. Why did I do that? Why did I get angry at a video game?
Yeah, I've never gotten like exasperated during fighting game matches. That's when I'll lightly launch it up and catch it in my lap. But
Sure.
That's always been the thing for me too, is that it's a video game. It's supposed to be fun. It has the word game in it. When I start to get frustrated, I simply turn it off and play a different game. That's end of story. I'm not gonna break shit. I'm not gonna fucking cry.
We're getting too old for that shit.
I'm not gonna get red in the fucking face over it.
Too old.
I'm not gonna go fucking feverishly masturbate and be like, oh, I'm so angry. I'm not gonna do that.
I'm gonna get ketchup and fist yourself.
Ketchup and fist. All right, Raul Romo.
Real Funstick Jeff. Real Jeff Funstick.
Real Jeff Funstick. You get the last question tonight. Is there any episode you've done that you wish you could change something about? That's not specific. So as far as the podcast goes, I'll go back and say that I wish I had never called Link Zelda by accident, even though I know his name, because holy shit, did that bring out the frothing fanboys.
Oh, I remember that.
When we discussed the demo.
That was like, how long ago was that? For Hyrule Warriors, was it?
No, it was the demo for Smash Brothers. So it was probably
6-7 months ago at least?
October.
Oh, is that? Oh, that's when they went off on you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. How could you switch a word like that, Ian?
How could
I like how we're going off topic a little bit, but I like how when we get wrestling facts a little wrong, wrestling fans, you are the biggest little fucking non-fun sticklers for details. I swear to God, we're talking off the cuff about wrestling facts going back 30 years.
I'm talking off the cuff without a fucking book or the internet like at my hand, so I'm not using it. I'm very sorry. I got some fucking title changes wrong,
and we still get it right 90% of the time. You know, so it's like just cut us some slack, wrestling fans. We're your brethren, but you guys are just. For guys that that are people give you guys shit for watching wrestling.
Right? Shouldn't we be a cohesive
we should be
group?
A family.
We should be a family.
But in terms of Pat the NES Punk episodes, which I think is what he's referring to here,
probably.
And I'll speak about this more on Pat the NES Punk Volume 4 in the commentary. The Mr. Gimmick episode, which is probably my best pure review of the actual game part in terms of the mechanics and why it's memorable.
I would actually agree.
You saw that one. Has a lot of extraneous conversation in the front that I probably should have cut most of it out. It's like 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. It probably could have been done in a minute and a half. And to my credit, I think I'm a tighter editor now and a tighter writer when it comes to interactions like that to get that stuff, get it moving, get it done. So that's an episode that I probably would have changed seriously, Mr. Gimmick. And I've actually thought of releasing it just as the gameplay part. Other than that, there's stuff like Skull and Crossbones I did with my cousin where, as cool as my cousin was as Yellowtooth the Bold. Wow, you remember that? You watched that? Wow. Yeah, I think someone's been watching my back catalog.
No, I watched that one after we beat Skull and Crossbones on your MAME cabinet.
Oh,
That was like
great.
right after I moved, right after I met you.
Oh god, the MAME cabinet. I miss it. It's gone. He wasn't that good at ad-libbing, unfortunately, and I probably could have cut that gameplay part down considerably too, where we just keep it to like the little skits of us with him trying to just be weird. That's a fun episode. But anyway, that's really what I would change. And plus, if I could change anything about him overall, I just write the review portions to be a lot shorter, like 4 or 5 minutes. Not like 10 minutes.
Jesus, the review portions are the best part of your goddamn fucking episodes.
But you don't watch him, Ian.
No, I don't. But I mean, that's really where you excel is reviews.
See, but that to me is not why I don't like doing that.
That's why I don't like watching your videos.
On that great note, we have a Patreon if you want to support the podcast. Ian sometimes writes for it. He writes his little blogs about the store.
Support it.
Patreon.com/PixelSickle, PXLSICLE. I don't know if I even spelled that right.
PXLSICLE.
I did spell it right. And then we're doing a Teespring thing right now. I'll put the address below wherever you're watching this because I don't know the address. It's going to be teespring.com/something, where you can get a nice CU Podcast t-shirt that helps support us as well.
I look sexual. Pat looks like he needs Thorazine.
Don't make fun of our artist, Ian. All right.
You always look like you need Thorazine.
I don't know. How are my gains? Am I working out all right? No.
I don't know. Doink.
For Ian Ferguson, who has to take a piss and not piss on my MacBook Air.
I might.
You hipster.
His MacBook Air, you fuckers, not mine.
You're a hipster.
Give him shit for owning an Apple.
You're a hipster.
You sluts.
You're very angry tonight. I'm Pat Contry. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Bye.